Hey guys, this is Timogen with King of Avalon Trainer, and we're doing a little player versus player action today. I actually got to catch some of this. The first one we're attacking is Wild Child. Wild Child only has T4s, but there's a lot of iron there, so we're going to jump in and grab this. Wild Child did have a good mix of troops, but once again, they're only T4s, no traps. Only lost infantry and calves on this attack. T8s versus T4s. I'm not real worried about. A lot of what my dragon stats are. I mean, it's a pretty easy deal to knock out the T4s. Like I said, I only lost some infantry and calves here. They're going to re-scout. I always follow up with the scout, make sure we got all the loot. Mostly I'm hunting for loot. I don't really care about kills and all that. I am top 40 in kills, but that's not really what I'm worried about. Here, the next one we're looking at, they got a pretty equal number of T6 troops across the board, no more of some than any. A lot of silver and iron, so we're definitely going to go for this. As you can see on the very, very bottom, there's about 20,000 total traps. So we are going to adjust our dragon for that. As you can see, Wild Child is pretty well emptied out. Jackoff, that's who we're going to call that guy. So, we're going to go in before we launch our attacks, and you can actually do this after your attacks. If you want to remove your march capacity and put something else in, you can do that in the middle of the march, and you're still going to get the benefit of whatever you change it to. Sometimes I do that if the attack is big enough. Here, T8s versus T6s. I'm not really that concerned with it because I should have a pretty good win. As you can see there, I only need about 3,000 points there to be able to upgrade my march capacity, which march capacity is probably one of the most important things you can do. Now, this is how I do my troop mix. I'm typically going to put about 1,000 troops, 1,000 infantry in. My Doom Tower is going to be based on how many traps are there. So that with 20,000 traps, we're going full Doom Towers. I'm putting all the Doom Towers I can in there. We're going to go distance siege. There's a big difference between trap siege and distance siege. The Doom Towers are mostly designed to absorb damage and knock down traps, whereas your distance siege are designed for long range killing. We're going to speed up a little bit here just in case, kind of speed things up. Lucky for you guys, I got to edit this and cut some time down. Make sure we got all our war equipment on. We're not farting around with our farming equipment. Now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna check our speed against the other speed of the first march, and you'll see why later. So we're gonna send that, and then we're gonna go ahead and send everything else because there is a lot of silver and iron here, and iron and silver doesn't move very fast. So we definitely want to be we definitely want those other marches to hit after the first. So there's a great deal of dragon experience whenever you kill a lot of troops. We killed 122, almost 123,000 of his troops. He had a lot of hospital capacity, so that was good for him. He'll be able to heal those up, even though a lot of them will be in the Alliance Hospital. I'm going to scroll down, and as you can see, the only losses we had here were all the infantry we sent, a little bit of destroyers, and some archers, and of course our Doom Towers. The reason we sent the Doom Towers was to absorb that trap damage. So the Doom Towers, we expect to lose those. We expect to lose infantry. And then hopefully everything else just kind of walks through. We're going to check. We got a lot of loot here. That's a lot of silver, a lot of iron. And I'm going to bring them back. I'm going to scout, see what else is left there. Check the scout. And as you can see, still a lot of iron, a lot of silver. So you'll see we'll make multiple runs back at this base just to grab it. Now we're going to send calves here. This was probably just wasted march. I should have went ahead and sent the whole thing. But one thing that you are going to see is you go in after the march is launched, and you can go ahead and pull that one off. And I'm going to add my load capacity. I want as much loot carried away as possible, and so I'm going to change the load capacity whenever I'm going to pick up different things. Now, while I'm waiting on that, I'm going to start scouting. There was somebody right here earlier. They weren't my alliance, but they were attacking this alliance. I probably shouldn't have been attacking this alliance, as we've got pretty much a peace treaty across the entire kingdom. But somebody made a call, and I just went with it because we've been sitting and hadn't attacked anybody. If you hadn't attacked anybody in a while, it's time to attack somebody. Now, Of course, we're checking in on Jackoff again, and just looking at this. Now, this player mistakes, we're going to look at this account a lot of times before we actually attack it. 500,000 food is not really a whole lot of food, especially to lose some troops to. And it took me a little while, especially while I'm waiting to clear off Jackoff, that we're going to, before I actually attack him. So, as you can see, we're just going to keep sending marches at this guy and till we can get all that silver and iron gathered up. We're also going to scout around some different places. We're going to keep looking for more targets. We're not just, while we're waiting on marches to go back and forth, we're looking at more targets. And so here we're going to look more silver and iron. That's what we want. Go ahead and start deleting those messages. Ghost, he doesn't really have anything. So it looks like somebody's already hit him or he's a dead base. That 17, all the numbers on the left, they're pretty much going to be whatever their storehouse capacity is. The numbers on the right are what they've got in production, and you'll get about half of whatever that number is on the right whenever you hit it. Okay, all right, so we're coming back to this guy, mistakes. He doesn't have any traps, a lot of cavalry and heavy crossbowmen, with a little bit of trebs mixed in there. And looking back, I'm going to make my adjustments on my dragon. Well, first we're going to finish that. Now we're going to heal our troops. Now, unlike Mike at King of Avalon Follower, which if you haven't subscribed to his channel, you definitely need to check him out because he's got some incredible stuff. I'm not that worried about healing my troops up. I've got over 200,000 troops. Missing 70 or 80 really isn't going to bother me a whole lot. So we're going to move our load here. We're going to, ideally if I had to put something for infantry kills, or cav kills, which I think we did. But siege wasn't the best thing to do. I think cav kills, that was actually my only two options, was either infantry or calves. Infantry or siege. So we're going to go ahead and look at this base. We're waiting on that last march to return. We're going to set our attack once again. Around 1,000 or so, 1,000 to 1,500 infantry. There's not a lot of traps, so we're not sending a lot of doom towers because we don't need those. We don't want those dying unless there are traps. Now we're going to go distant siege and bowmen. Bowmen are really your big killers in this game. And then, of course, your calves are probably the second most, followed by the siege. Infantry just don't have a lot of attack. They're mostly just meat shields. Check this real quick, and we're going to land. We lost about 50,000. That's not a whole lot. And the only thing that we'd end up losing here were infantry. That's why we don't send but about 1,000 infantry. Okay, they do work as meat shields, and we're okay with losing some. But also, we don't want to lose a whole lot of them because they don't kill. They're not very good killers, but they keep the others from being hit as well. So we want to send some, but not a whole lot. Second attack on mistakes there. You're just seeing the absorption of the damage. Sending the second march on them. The third march, now, if you want to talk about, march capacity, that saved us about 12 seconds to drop those 8 siege off there. There's no reason to send the 8 siege and slow it down. So we're trying to clear out the rest of that food and everything that's there. We're going to jump back in here, and we're able to upgrade our march capacity. Okay, that's an extra 500 troops that we can send per march. So anytime that you can increase this, you definitely want to do it, as it's the most important thing to fighting. The second most important would be your wounded conversion. Here's a different base. There's no loot here. The troops are really weak, but there's no loot. There's no use in me losing troops over that. Now, this is a different attack. This was actually before the previous set of attacks. We're looking at this. Not a lot of traps. There is, a lot of spearmen, a lot of swordsmen, and now there's a lot of iron and silver. The battery's running out. It always runs out because I'm always playing the game. But as you can see, we got a pretty good setup here. There's a ton of iron, ton of silver. So we're going to come over here, we're going to set, and of course I always click on this before I click on the dragon because I never know why. And we're going to look at our what our troop mix is. So we're all right with cav. And I'm looking at the bottom name, the cavalry against siege. We're okay with that. Cavalry against bowmen. Now, I'm not real big on cavalry, on anything against bowmen. Bowmen, if you get to the bowmen are going to die. They don't have a lot of defense. They don't have a lot of health. So I'm really not ever really going to boost for bowmen as far as that goes. And I always click on the link there. I'm going to set to attack this guy, War Daggett. So we're going to send our 1,000 infantry. We're going to send just a few doom towers because there's no traps, so we don't need a whole lot of doom towers. Now we're also going to send calves and bowmen. They're your big killers plus your distant siege, and we're going to launch those. Now you can see here what I'm doing is I'm checking my march speed. So before I checked my march speed. My march speed was behind the other. Now this third attack, I really didn't even look at my march speed. You'll notice that this is a big mistake. Okay. I kind of got distracted. It's an easy kill. I didn't pay attention to that. And as you can see here in just a second, I'm going to notice that third march, which is only about 28,000 troops, oh crap, let's click on it. It's too late to hit callback. It's done. It's over. And of course, as you can see, getting some love mail. So we're going to click on this. My 28,000, 30,000 troops killed 21, half of his troops. And then, of course, the second group, which was the main fighting group, they only lost 109 of those and killed the other 20,000. I was a little bit upset about this. Matter of fact, you can see I look at it 2 or 3 times. I'm pretty upset about it. Just not a good situation. So always check if you're going for the follow-up on cleanup. Check your march. Make sure it's going to land after your main attack. He sends some reinforcements. Guys, thanks for watching. Leave some comments below, and please subscribe and like the video, share it, and we'll